Summers are awesome. Thank you for joining us for one of our last reports before summer. I'm Cole Engstrom, HOLA, Student News. 70,000 fish turned up dead at the Marina del Rey Harbor on the 17th of May. First reports came in sometime around 9 p.m. Authorities have not yet determined the cause of the incident, but some say it is linked to the heat wave that hit, causing algae to grow, sucking up all the oxygen and leaving the fish to suffocate. A similar event happened at Redondo Beach, only 12 miles away, in 2011, where 35 tons of dead fish were found floating in King Harbor.
We were shocked at the violence that broke out through Vietnam last week as anti-Chinese protests turned deadly, killing 2 people, leaving 16 more in critical condition and over 100 more injured. Vietnamese rioters were outraged over Beijing's decision to send an oil rig into the South China Sea that both countries claim as sovereign territory. The Vietnamese government normally would not allow such protests to occur, but they grudgingly allowed them last week, not knowing that they would spiral out of control. Factories, mostly run by companies from China and Taiwan, were burned and looted by angry rioters. 5 Chinese ships have traveled to Vietnam to help with the evacuation, and so far over 3,000 Chinese people have been evacuated, but it's not over yet.
Climate change. That's a phrase that's thrown around a lot, but it could be a big threat for the landmarks that we all know and love. Multiple attractions, including the Statue of Liberty, Jamestown, Yosemite National Park, and even Annapolis, could be places that go down in a history book instead of places that you can go and visit. At the Statue of Liberty, there has already been examples of what could happen if the sea levels rise. When Superstorm Sandy hit, storm surges swelled up around the statue, causing water levels to rise 3 feet, causing lots of damages.
In China, the government introduced the one-child policy in 1979. It was introduced because the Chinese people were giving birth more than they were dying. This was causing the population to increase rapidly. After the introduction of the one-child policy, the fertility rates in China fell from 2.63 babies per woman in 1980 to 1.61 in 2009. But the punishment for having a second child seems to be stripping the rights of the mother and the child. In the case of Li Fu, the mother who had given birth to twins, because of her religion, Li Fu wasn't able to have an abortion, or she would be shunned by her family and friends. This gave her no choice but to break the one-child policy and pay the fine of $54,200 American dollars. On the other hand, the child lost the right to his respect from peers, the right to the health care, the right to free education, and the right to a residency in the Chinese province. This story opened the eyes of many Americans to how many rights the child and the mother actually have in the Chinese culture.
The next train arriving will be totally stuck. That was nearly the scenario in France, where the main trains company ordered a fleet of new trains that were too big to fit in many stations. The revelation that the new TER trains were too large for the regional stations they will be serving was made by investigative newspaper like Canard and Check, and widely reported in the French media. The mix-up is reported to have occurred when RFF, which operates France's rail network, gave station dimensions to SNCF in advance of the train order. Measurements were taken from more modern stations, but neglected to include older facilities where the gap between platforms is narrower. They said 50 million euros were being spent on upgrading 1,300 platforms to accommodate the new trains.
The defending champions Heat are headed to their 4th straight NBA Finals after demolishing the Indiana Pacers in Game 6, 117-92. They win the Eastern Conference Finals 4-2. LeBron James and Chris Bosh led the Heat with 25 points apiece, while Paul George put up 29 for the Pacers. Also, the San Antonio Spurs take Game 6 from the Thunder in overtime, 112-107, to advance to the finals. Boris Diaw had a big game, leading the Spurs with 26 points. Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili had some clutch shooting in the final minutes to put the Spurs through to the next round. As usual, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook led the Thunder with 31 and 34 points. Serge Ibaka was working on defense with 4 blocks. Here's some highlights from that game.
Here's everything you missed from the NBA playoffs in 130 seconds. The first round was all game sevens, 5 of them to be exact. That's a record. Jeff Teague was balling, pulled the Jordan shrug, didn't matter. Pacers won. Speaking of Jordan, LeBron definitely stared him down during a dunk.
That was a look at Michael like, turn out the lights, my friend.
Maybe that's why Josh McRoberts gave him the people's elbow.
You smell what the Rock is cooking?
LeBron and MJ hugged it out. The internet had fun, lots of it. The Raptors took on some dinosaurs. The Nets had the last laugh. Jay-Z was happy. Drake went home to a lint roll. Vince Carter went vintage Vinsanity. And then Tony Romo showed up, and the Mavs lost. Here's photo evidence that Tim Duncan was excited. Damian Lillard nailed a series-ending buzzer beater. Kevin Durant got called unreliable and went full beast mode. Clippers Warriors was thrilling on the court. Donald Sterling stole headlines off of it. The Clips showed solidarity against him. 1-7. Kevin Durant won the MVP, and it got dusty up in here.
You're the real MVP.
KD couldn't watch Westbrook's game-winning free throws. Spoiler alert, they went in. OKC beat the Clips in 6. The big fundamental played in his 222nd playoff game more than all these franchises. He's obviously amped. After Roy Hibbert's talent mysteriously vanished, the internet had some fun. So Paul George took him fishing, and Hibbert helped dominate the Wiz. LeBron and the Heat rolled Brooklyn, but you were probably going to watch this guy instead. Don't worry, LeBron's a fan too. The Spurs Big Three won their 111th playoff game, the most for any trio in NBA history. Duncan still hyped. Lance Stevenson almost won an Oscar for floppy, joined the Heat's huddle, blew in LeBron's ear, and high-fived his face. Wait, he blew in LeBron's ear? None of them mattered. He went. Serge Ibaka out for the season. But wait! He's back! Not enough to keep Greg Popovich from laughing or Timmy from getting turned. It's a rematch of last year. We'll see who's for the finals.
Also, a new update about the Sterling team. Shelley Sterling has put in a bid to keep the Los Angeles Clippers amidst the recent controversy involving her husband, Donald Sterling, and his racist remarks, which prompted the NBA to force him to forfeit ownership of the team and pay a fine of $2.5 million.
Honduras is coming back for the third time for the World Cup. They'll arrive in Brazil after beating Mexico at the Estadio Azteca for the first time. Honduras will have a difficult time beating Switzerland, France, and Ecuador in the upcoming month. And now moving across the globe to Germany, we'll be starting their training camp in Austria. They will board the plane on June 7th to head to Brazil. We're all excited to see them there.
On June 13th, 3 of our middle school teachers will be leaving. Miss Hutchinson, Miss Bell, and Mr. J. Huff. They have been a huge part of our middle school lives. Here are some of them now.
Okay, my favorite memory here, there are two. One was certainly going to the European Honor Band, the AMI Honor Band, and going to Brussels with the students and traveling and going to see the amazing instrument museum where we get to see all these thousands of instruments. And then the second thing was just being able to conduct concerts with everyone and seeing the excitement when they hear that applause and realize how much work they've accomplished. What I'll miss most about TASM is the students. I've had a great time just working with all the students that have practiced really hard and have achieved, and really I could see a lot of growth in all the students that I teach, and I'm very appreciative of that. So I'm going back to Texas, and I'm going to live somewhere between San Antonio, Texas and Austin, Texas, in a little, probably itty-bitty town, because that's all there are, itty-bitty towns between Austin and San Antonio. And one of the cool things that I'm going to get to do is become a band director there and maybe be a mom.
That's really hard because I've had a really great time at TASM, so it's hard to narrow it down. I think a few of my favorite memories would be working with a lot of students in the extracurricular programs. So like the middle school volleyball, my first year I was here, I really enjoyed, and the track teams and coaching the varsity teams for volleyball. Those are things that will carry with me for a really long time, just making those moments and getting to know those students really well. One thing I'm going to miss about TASM is just the community that's here. I think that's really hard to come by around the world. The community is so strong here. Is it like whether it's between teachers or teachers and administration or teachers and students or teachers and teachers, there's just such a huge community here that I know that there'd be people out there that would do anything for me if I needed something. So just like a feeling of love here at TASEM, Singapore, to work at an IB school there, and I'll be teaching mostly high school PE, and then starting up the IB program for sports science next year. So that's my plans right now.
One of my favorite memories at TASEM was on my birthday when we had Red Choir singing, and we were in the middle of a song, and all of it, out of nowhere, I counted them off, and instead of doing the song, they all just sang Happy Birthday instead. It was really, really cool. I'm going to miss how excited the kids are about learning and about doing new things and about pushing themselves as far as they can go. It's nice to have kids who really want to make themselves better every day. I'll be heading back to the States and either working there or getting ready for grad school there.
Well, we sure will miss those teachers. Coming up next, crisis in Ukraine.
The ongoing crisis in Ukraine has recently escalated amidst the protests that have rocked the region since November of last year. Hundreds of people have been killed in the falling months, prompting action from the leaders of the nations. Over 40 people were killed in a large fire several weeks ago, and more recently, activists have ignored Vladimir Putin's request to postpone the election referendum. The United States has recently threatened Russia with trade deals. Russia has recently announced that they will close down their space launch pads in the next couple of years, affecting the U.S. because since the U.S. shut down the shuttle program in 2011, they have relied on the Russian Soyuz rockets to take American astronauts and satellites up to space.
Up for discussion these past few weeks has been a new event, Mix It Up Thursday, created and scheduled by the advisory team for the last 4 Thursdays leading up to the summer. The entire middle school will be participating. Let's see what the goal of the project is.
The goal for Mix It Up Thursday was to help students mix up their friend groups and make new friends.
The rules for Mix It Up Thursday were that you had to get a card with a number on it and sit on that table with that corresponding number.
I think we accomplished our goal because a lot of people met new people.
Let's see what the students think.
It was fun.
Very good idea to make new friends and meet people. I agree, George. You can interact with others and make new friends.
It was really fun, and it was a nice way to meet new people.
Okay, I don't like Mix It Up Thursday.
It was fun, like we got to meet new people, but it would be better if we had it in the beginning and went like for a month or something. Fun.
Okay, I think that they should do the mix-up day at the beginning of the year because then you can meet new people and make new friends.
It's a really good way to
It was weird.
I thought it was really fun, and I got to meet new people, and I made some new friends.
I thought Mix It Up Thursday was a really interesting event to make people socialize together.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Next up, remains of a giant titanosaur.
And we thought the T-Rex was the biggest dinosaur of all. Scientists have recently uncovered huge bones in Argentina that could be from the biggest species ever to walk the Earth. Weighing 100 tons, scientists hypothesize that these bones belong to an entirely new species of dinosaur. With a thigh bone alone being 2.4 meters, scientists hypothesize this dinosaur growing up to be the size of 14 grown elephants. This titanosaur lived approximately 95 million years ago and was discovered by a farm worker in the vicinity of La Flecha, Argentina, and was later uncovered by experienced archaeologists.
Scientists are still working to see if this is the largest dinosaur ever to roam the Earth, or if it's just a fluke. I'm Ian Ross.
And I'm Serena Lee from HOLA Student News.
We'll be back next week.